everyone, and welcome one more time to Pinkafé Unfiltered. One more episode, one more day, another day at the office. Sister, how you feeling?
I love our office. Of course, I'm feeling great. We're filming.
Exactly. Filming is one of our favorite words. And today we have a wonderful guest who is all about filming and telling stories. She's an actor, a producer, also a writer. She made a movie during the pandemic about pregnancy and so many other things, but I'm not gonna tell you her story. She is gonna share it right here with us. Her name is Selina Ringel. Welcome to the Pinkafé Unfiltered.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. What an honor. Muchas gracias.
Ay, claro. Bienvenida siempre a tu casa, Pinkafé.
Ay,
el café rosado.
Me encanta. Me encanta el café y me encanta el rosado.
Yeah.
Así que vengo diario.
Podemos grabar diario, por favor, para que venga Selina.
Exacto.
No, yes. Selina, we're super excited to have you here. We invited you last time. Our schedules didn't match, but you're here because the universe is perfect.
Yes.
And
I love that.
I know that your most recent movie has won awards. We went to see it, but also I got to know a little bit more of your story when you shared about your pregnancy during a movie that was shot during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I know that's a big part of your career and everything. So, but we want to hear a little bit of everything about Selina Ringel.
Thank you. Well, my last movie, Single Mother by Choice, which is on HBO. So everybody should go watch it. And actually, there's a little behind the scenes short. So if you watch the movie and you get curious about how we made the movie, because it was insane how we made the movie, then you can watch a 13-minute short that HBO bought as well. That's like right under in like additional material, where basically me and my husband interviewed each other like every day while we were losing our mind while I was pregnant during the height of the pandemic, and we were rewriting the script because we had to, because what we had written wasn't for a global pandemic. And then I also had a miscarriage when I was shooting that movie, and it was my real pregnancy. And so then we had to stop, and then we had to start again. So anyway, that was a very crazy.
Wow.
That was my last movie. But I had made a movie before that, so that was my second feature. This is now my third feature. And I think, a lot of what we do is we tell stories that are very personal to us. So all of our features have been very personal stories. And then obviously, we take things that are true, and then we kind of expand on what the most interesting part is about the truth, and then try to make a story that's, the best story, but it always stems from the truth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Was it hard to put yourself out there?
Yeah.
Because I know, pregnancy is a very, very sometimes private, or sometimes we want to share it also with the world. But from that perspective, you being the producer, you also being the actress.
Yeah.
How was it putting yourself out there?
Yeah, it was really, really hard because I had a miscarriage. So that was like completely not part of the plan. And I never in a million years thought that would happen. And, and I'm really glad that we put that into the film, because I think it's something that more and more people are being okay to talk about. And it's actually incredibly common. But, for so long, I had so many friends of mine who had actually gone through the same thing who never told me. And then they saw the movie and they were like, oh my God, you went through that. Or I would tell them, and then they'd be like, oh my God, I went through it 3 times. What? Well, why didn't you call me? Yeah. And it was like, well, because I don't know, I didn't really think that I should call and kind of tell people. And what a strange thing. But anyway, so the point is, though, I felt like that's something that should be talked about. So it was very weird because of that. Then it was very weird because the global pandemic happened. After I got pregnant again, we started shooting again. And that was not expected either. And that was not in the script either. And so then we had to rewrite the script, and then we actually lost our crew because I was pregnant. So we couldn't have like 25 people around me filming me anymore. So my husband actually bought the camera. He learned how to use it on a Zoom with the DP. He started doing the sound. I started doing my own makeup. I started doing the production design. Like, we became a 2-person team.
Wow.
Which, like, talk about, surviving a marriage.
Yeah.
Why don't you get one person pregnant, trap them in an apartment, and make them finish a movie? Let's see how that goes.
Wow. Okay, I
talk about a story, a real story. Now, storytelling. with a purpose,
Yeah.
so that you can actually deliver this message, and now you're helping people.
Yeah.
It's like, that is the power of our beautiful career, that sometimes it's like, I hate it when parents kind of like comment like, eso no paga, eso es
Yeah.
de productorcita o de journalist o de eso. Y es como que, you know what? I am doing this for a person. I'm sure you went through. It's like, okay, why am I doing this? Why? Like, why am I doing this? And I'm going through this thing, and okay, film it, do it, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's, you have to do that with a lot of courage and purpose in your why.
It was very tough. And I had one of my producers actually said to me at some point, she was like, you should just stop. Like, no one's going to care if you just stop making this movie. Like, no. You know what I mean? She was like, I'm not trying to be rude, but she was like, just go like figure it, like, go be part of this pandemic and worry about your actual baby in your stomach, and don't worry about like finishing this movie at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's just
Crazy.
one thing too many. But I felt like I had already done so much. By the time I gave birth to my son, I had a full finished first cut of the movie. So what that meant was that we were still at the height of the pandemic. So then we actually sold it to HBO, and we more than doubled our investment in that movie. But this was a miracle, because the reason that happened, and don't get me wrong, I think we made a good movie, but I also think it was a miracle because...
I thought you were going to say, we made a good baby.
No, we made an incredible baby. We made the best baby. But what I'm saying, though, is had we not had a finished product in that moment,
Claro.
I am not, like, 6 months later, I don't think we would have been able to sell it. Because by the time the pandemic was over, everyone was so over the pandemic. Everyone was like, don't talk to me about the pandemic. I never want to see it again. I never want to hear it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we went through so much, like, as a global community. But being in it and it coming out while we were in it was like the miracle of timings. You know what I'm saying? Because then people were actually pregnant, they were going through it, they could relate to it. It was like, so that was incredible. And had we decided, we're going to take this to festivals, we would have missed our boat.
Yeah.
If there were so many things that if we had decided to do that, we would have missed our boat and the movie wouldn't have sold. But because we were like, this is relevant right now, let's take this out right now.
Wow.
And then it worked. But it was very, very hard.
proud of
It's
you.
been doing it independently too,
Yeah.
and doing it by yourself with your husband through Zoom. If anything wonderful happened through Zoom, is like being able to complete a whole project, because at that time everyone was like, what is going to happen with my life? When are we going to get out of home? But you were actually working. So that speaks to like the impact that you want to have in the world.
Thank you.
If you're not having fun, if you're not being impactful, if you're not like really loving what you're doing, is, why are you even working towards towards your dreams, So that's wonderful. That's beautiful that you're doing that.
Yes, and talking about dreams and all, you're an actress and a producer and everything. Now with the industry, sometimes I am coming back to acting and I'm trying to like figure this out. And I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate to this. And there is a lot of myths of like, okay, you now want to act? I'm like, I was first an actress, or I was, now I'm producing, and I'm like, you can do it all. You can do all the things. Like, if there's any advice that you can give, someone who is picking it up again like me, or starting or switching or doing both, there's a lot of myths out there, like, the dumb actor, you have to remove that so that they can believe in you as a producer. What are some things and challenges that you might have faced about that? And like, okay, I'm an actress, but a producer, writer. Did you have to, kind of like prove a little bit that?
I mean, I think for me, so the movie we just finished right now, it's called You, Me, and Her. I also wrote it, I produced it, I star in it, and it's a much bigger movie than the last movie. And actually, the last movie, because we did so well with it, was how we were able to get the money for this movie. But I think the biggest thing that I have done, and I'm not saying it's easy, but I do think everyone is capable of doing it, is that I was doing a lot of stuff where I was auditioning for other people, and I've always loved acting. And then I realized I'm a very organized person, I'm a good people person, I should be a producer. And then I started writing things because I was excited about the creative process and things that I liked. And I had also been casting for many years because that was something I was getting paid to do. And I had this like moment that was kind of like this aha moment where it's like, wait a minute, like, why not me? Like, if I know how to do all these things, like, not me because I decided not me. Do you know what I'm saying? No one else. It's like, I'm writing and producing and casting and not casting me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
What? Wait a minute. Like, stuff that doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was like, well, what if yes, me? You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so then I was like, well, then if it's gonna be me, then it's gotta be very specifically me.
Yeah.
Because I'm very specific. Like, soy mexicana, no me veo mexicana,
No
like,
Mexicana.
I don't look Mexican. Like, people are very confused about that. I'm also Jewish. People are confused about that. Like, there's a lot of things about me that make me a very particular mix, right?
Yeah.
And so when I had that realization, I was like, okay, well, so if I'm gonna start putting myself in things, then I need to really ingrain who I am into what I'm doing. Because then it's
and that you are everything. Because that's what I learned. And my aha moment is like, because I'm like, should I be Natalia from Pinkafé?
Yeah.
Or an actress only, or a producer, but they're not going to believe. It was all these roles. And I
No,
was
you can
separating.
be all of
So
it.
one's like,
You can
be all of it.
yeah.
You can be all of it. Like simple, like you just say, right? I'm like, oh, I can be all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But why do we always feel like I
crazy.
need to focus, or this is my plan. My plan was to be A, B, C. And even once you get to complete all of your dreams and your goals, and it's like, what happens when you already did it? You know, you want to be able to like go into that little box and the little pocket of things that you have and all these things. But sometimes we put a lot of those things in a little, like on a side, and we forget like, oh, that was something that really I was passionate about. Why not bring it out to the surface again, you know? But I love that you guys have it like all out there, and it's so important to be able to share and to tap into all of those talents to create something.
I think part of the problem, in my opinion, is we've been marketed this idea that you should be one thing, right? In order to build a brand, right? And now, by the way, a brand is you. Every person is a brand.
Everything.
So like, and this is part of the whole social media thing. It's like, what's your brand? What do you stand for? What's your voice? Who are you? Everything you say is what you're selling. What are you selling, right? Because that's what everyone's trying to do, is build their following so that they can sell something, so they can monetize. So that, right? That's like what we've been told. So if your brand is you, right? So then we've been told like, so then you have to choose a lane. But I don't think that's true, because I think more and more our brands are expanding, and we're human beings, and there isn't one lane, and we're allowed to be a lot of different things. And, you know, I think on that note, it's about kind of what you were saying back to impact. It's like, how can you have impact? How can you help other people find what they want to do or who they want to be? You know, and for me, like one of the things I'm working on right now, I'm actually writing a book, and I'm doing a master class, and I'm doing some consulting as well. But because I really believe that everyone should be able to make their first feature. And I think part of the problem is that we've also been kind of trained and marketed this idea of like, you can't do it until you have X amount of money. You can't do it until you have like this person attached to do it. You can't do, like, there's all these things that we're told that are basically just stop us from trying, right? Because it's like, oh, well, since I can't get Charlize Theron, I might as well not make it. You know what I'm saying? Or like, well, I definitely couldn't raise $1 million this year, so I guess there goes my movie. You know, and I think that that's the wrong mentality, because ultimately by not doing it, you didn't do it. And if you you know what I'm saying? Like, then you don't have it. You never did it. You know what I'm saying? And by doing it, not only are you learning, not only are you proving to yourself what you can do, you're also living your life. Like, you're doing it. And that's your life, is doing it. Like, you guys being here is a part of your life. You're showing up, and that becomes a part of how you like enjoy your day, and how you enjoy each other, and how you get to meet other people, and how you know what I'm saying? So you could be like, here are all the reasons why it's not gonna work, so I might as well not do it. But then you'll never do anything. You know what I mean?
And then it become excuses, and then it becomes a way of life, and then a lot of years go by, and then it's like, so what happened to that one thing? Oh no, it's because of, and then you don't even find the excuse anymore. Oh, because of nothing. And then so it's crazy, because we have to stop with the excuses and just take action and then just actually do it. But you guys, I want to
What?
do the other little layer that
That's a
I
whole
am
other
trying
job.
to still learn and like take in as an auntie. And you guys are brand new moms. I mean, the last couple of years, and it's so beautiful. And
Thank you.
I admire you so much from right here, this audience over here, like looking at these powerful women, and then now, adding the layer of motherhood.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you guys balance that out? Because even for me, being an auntie, having the responsibility of my nephew for 2 hours,
I know.
the rule number one was keep him alive.
Yes.
Don't worry. I'll just-
Feed him as long as he's fed and he naps and everything. He's happy.
Yeah. So by you guys, it's like career and all these other titles and layers that people try to put us, and then you say, no, I'm everything. I'm also a mom. That's amazing. How you guys doing with that?
Thank you.
Yeah. How are you doing? You know my story.
I want to know how you guys
hear
also
from-
relate with that.
I want to hear from Selina because to me, it was a very hard journey.
Yeah.
It's my first child too. For you,
Yeah.
Camila is your second.
Yeah.
But also, I relate with you in a way that we are very career driven.
Yeah.
And maybe for a long time, for all of our lives, our career was number one. But when this little person comes into your life, it's like,
Yeah.
things have changed.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your motherhood journey and how you really try. Do you even find balance, or do you feel guilt? Do you feel there's so many questions about motherhood? This could be a whole another episode. But definitely would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, I think first and foremost, I feel very, very grateful because I have 2 incredible kids. My son is 4 years old. My daughter's 9 months old. And I feel very inspired by them. Like, I think like if I thought I was productive, now I feel like a superhuman. Like I really do. Granted, I am slower than I used to be, and I can do less every day.
Wow.
But I feel like because I'm keeping 2 people alive and a household and the job stuff, and by the way, my husband's my business partner. That's a whole other episode. But you guys know because you guys are sisters.
Yeah.
It's different, but it's similar.
Family
it's
and business, yeah.
It's you're in business with someone you love who's also your best friend, and also it's tough because you love them and they're your best friend and you don't always have the same opinion on everything. And so, but I think it makes me feel like, wow, I can do a lot, but there's definitely moments. I mean, like I remember after I had my daughter, I think it was like maybe like 5 weeks out or something like that. I like went out to coffee with a friend of mine and I was like, I just don't know. Like, I don't know. I was having like basically like a midlife crisis. Like I was like, I haven't been doing so much lately. And I feel like, my this and my career. And I thought I was going to be doing this, but this didn't work, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, bitch, you just had a C-section 5 weeks ago. Like, relájate, you know what I mean? Like, she was like, what's wrong with you? Like, she was like, you just left the house. Like, what are you talking about? Your career and your this. She's like, you can't even shower by yourself yet. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And I'm like, but in my head, I had like all this stuff about like who I've become and what I'm not doing and why it's not enough and blah, blah, blah.
So you're
like,
not the only one.
And I was like, and also like I wasn't in my jeans and I wasn't in my, all of that stuff. And it's just like, you feel so disconnected from like this powerhouse version of you because this powerhouse version of you isn't deliriously tired. You know what I mean? And
the power has to go all to this little human to be able to keep him alive.
Yeah. And then you have to, so it's like, but I think one of the things that, and so it's like, I think I've learned to be a lot more patient with myself, to give myself a lot more space, to not need to be as fast or intense or as I used to be. Granted, by the way, I'm still very fast and intense. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I have to remove myself from being inside of me to even notice that I'm still doing a lot. It's just that I'm comparing myself to the old me. And the old me was a lot faster.
That's the word. Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, so one thing is I'm trying really hard to give myself a lot more patience. And the second thing is that I really do feel like these little people inspire us to see a whole different side of life. That to me is like, I was so work obsessed that I feel like there was a whole part of me I hadn't even really tapped into. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I feel like there's like a whole like part of my personality, of my heart, of my, that's like come out through like seeing these, and especially, I mean, my son now, he's 4 years old. Like he has funny questions and he, you know, goes to the bathroom by himself and he says like deep things sometimes that I don't understand. Like, you know what I mean? Like the other day I was like, who's your best friend? And he said, me. And I was like, okay, Buddha. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, that's what I've been trying to learn my whole life. You know, it's like, what? But
like, who is this 18-year-old little guy that's teaching me things?
It was amazing.
Wow.
But it's like, but so I think that that's like so cool. And I try to, you know, I try to like really enjoy all those little moments. And at the same time, I'm way more tired. I was talking to another friend of mine the other day and she was like, I feel like a truck just hit me. Like she was like, you know, when I was in my 20s, I had so much energy and I just felt like I could do anything. I could go to sleep late. I could wake up. I was like, I don't even remember when I had that much energy because I am so tired. But at the same time, I'm still doing things. I'm just doing things at a slightly different pace. And I think it's about being okay with that and being okay with like whatever your journey is. I think so much of what comes in between is how we feel about it versus what's actually happening, right? Because no one cares. No one cares when I finish this movie. I'm going to finish this movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already, like, this movie, I just finished it.
Es uno que se pone la presión.
Es like, es la presión propia, pero es presión creada por nosotros, para nosotros, que ¿por qué? O sea, como que flojera, que nos ponemos tanta caca en la cabeza de, like, when we're supposed to be doing this and doing that, and, like, by when we're supposed to be this weight or look like this. Ay, qué flojera.
Oh, my God. Es la misma sí. Es como una competencia con uno mismo. And I also realized that when I became a mother, because I was like, before, I was like, okay, it's my own journey. I would take other women as inspiration. I would look up to everything. But then when I became a mom, I'm like, I was comparing myself to my old version, to the Carolina that was able to say yes to every job, to travel for a project from next weekend, you know, and now it's like my whole life depends on this little person and of course my family, and then I have to, you know, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with me. Hay un saying en español que me gusta mucho que se dice morir al yo. And that's like leaving your ego aside for a second. Yeah. So you can take a pause in your life and focus on something else. Maybe you can go back to another version of you. You can go back to that same person that had that whole energy to do projects again. But that's going to come at the time. You already did it. Now it's time to focus on something else. And, you know, or do the same things, but at a different pace.
Like what I've realized, for example, now is like I'll work 2 to 3 hours, for example, a day, right? But I am so focused during those two, like I make sure that for those 2 or 3 hours, like I'm just like hyper zoomed into what I'm doing, right? Before, I used to be available all day. I used to like answer my emails all day. Like I used to be like I was like a work, like, you know,
workaholic.
I was like a workaholic and I didn't, so, but the thing is, what's interesting to me is that maybe I'm actually getting more done like this. Do you know what I'm saying? Because when I'm off, I'm off. And when I'm on. And I'm not just like partially on all day, every day.
Refreshing your email, seeing who texts, and then nobody really texts for 3 hours, but you have anxiety there that somebody.
And like I owe people an email back, and like it's like, and then what I realized is like no one, like when I've put my boundaries now, because as a mom, and kind of like you said, you have to. It's like you can't just get on the trip, you can't just get on the, you know what I'm saying? But what I've realized is that everyone's fine. Yeah. If I don't answer today the email, if I answer tomorrow, everyone's fine. Yeah. No one's like, knock on wood, like no emergency. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, it's just interesting how we like build ourselves up to think it's like it's so important to respond to everyone every second of the day, because if not, we don't seem like we're hardworking women and they're not going to respect our blah blah blah. Nos metemos puras cosas en la cabeza que claro que no. And I think it's just like being like, you know what? It's okay. Like I'm gonna get back to everybody eventually. Yeah. Take me a day or two. That's okay. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like everyone's gonna
I'll get there.
No, little by little. I think we're all in our different stages of life, and then little by little we're finding the balance. You know how we have to. But anyway, we have to go. But we're so happy that you came and, gave us so much, joy and so much information. And I hope that you can come back soon to our Casita Rosada, Pinkafé.
Thank you.
Tell us also how we can find you, if there's any website or anything that we can check out your work.
Thank you. So at Selina Ringel, SelinaRingel. And I will also have on my website soon all my consulting stuff and my masterclass and my book and everything else.
Oh my God, I want to sign up for everything.
Yay! I'll teach you how to make your first feature.
Yes, please.
Starring you.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Write it, produce
ready.
it, and act on it.
Yeah.
I was looking for a mentor. Look at that.
Good. I love it.
That's the beauty of Pinkafé. Thank you, Selina, for
manifested it.
being here. Yeah.
Yes.
Love you. And we manifest you being again. You have to come back. So
Yes, I'll
Yeah.
keep coming back.
There's so many topics pending, but we have to
Yes.
wrap it up today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you, Selina, for being here with us.
Thank you.
And until the next time, right?
Until next time. Thank you, guys.
Bye.